So this is the kind of stuff you run into when you're rearranging your shop. I had a wood storage rack up against this wall, and this is a metal building, and the screw holes where they attach the metal obviously leak. That right there is pretty much wet wood, hopefully not completely saturated with black mold. So I had to remove the bottom 6 inches of the sheetrock because it was full of black mold, especially right in that area right there and in there. And you see where there's some water damage to the paint and sheetrock there, but that's dry right now. And there's some staining there. So what I'm going to do, rather than putting sheetrock down against the concrete again, I have this stuff. And it's PVC trim board. I actually have it on my house. This was remnants from it. I use that as my template to cut away the bad sheetrock. And that's what I'm going to put in its place. So that's never going to rot again. But I definitely got to fix the leak issues so water's not getting into the wall. If you go on up, not sure if you see it all, but that's staining all the way from the ceiling. And I've had leaks up in here in the past. And I'll go outside and show you why. Because the Nimrods who put this roof on put screws in the valley, not in the top of the ridge. So when the water comes down the roof, it hits right in that valley, goes right through where that screw is, and into the wall. So folks, if you're putting in metal roofs, do not put screws in the valleys. They will guarantee to leak eventually. All right. So a simple day of playing around with wood in the shop turned into major deconstruction and mold remediation. Fun. Yeah. Great. And that's DIY at its best. This is the tool I use to cut the sheetrock away. So basically I just laid one of those 1x6 PVC boards down along the floor and went in there right along the top of it. Just that quick, just that simple. Came out pretty fast. And of course I wore a face covering. So I had a mask on to keep that moldy dust particles from getting in my face and breathing it in. Anyways, just thought you should see the tool. It's one of those oscillating tools. from you know where, our favorite little cheapo store, Harbor Freight. This has been a great little tool. I think I paid 20 bucks for it. You know, I've had it probably near 10 years, probably between 5 and 10 years. So no problems with it so far. Okay, so won't bore you with the rest, but I'm going to have to let that wall dry out. But in the meantime, I need to get that's my wood storage rack. I want to get that rack moved out of the way so I can take all that down and start installing the new cabinets on this side of the room. To repair the roof leaks that I had on this metal roof from all the screw penetrations, I bought this Flex Seal at the local big box store. I also bought a aerosol can of the Flex Seal, and you know, it worked. It was sort of convenient, but for the money, this brush-on, roll-on application is actually a much better solution for what I was using it for. And you know, I just hit the first 2 rows of screws that were penetrating the roof, especially this row of screws that were in the valley, which really you should never put screws in the valley because that's where the water wants to go. You should always put the screws on the ridge. Yeah, so since I've applied this, I have had no further leaks, and we've had several rainstorms since I've used it, and I had at least 3 leaks in the roof from this past winter, and the rubber seals on those screws drying out. And so, yeah, I think this might be at least a temporary fix. We'll see. Time will tell, but I'm pretty impressed with it so far. It was pretty easy to apply. I still have a whole bunch of it left in that can, so I'll probably get up on the roof and do all the screw heads and just go ahead and get them sealed so that I won't have leaks in the future. Anyways, yeah, Flex Seal, non-endorsed, but we're going to give it a shot. So here's the fasteners that were used on this roofing system. And here you see where they put them. It's actually a nail that's used on this portion of the roof, but they put the nail in the ridge so the water naturally wants to run away from it. Then as you come down to the base, you'll see here where they use the same nail, but it's in the valley between the 2 ridges. All the water wants to come off of these ridges and right down into this valley and through that nail. Now these nails did all have rubber washers to seal, and that lasted for a number of years, I'm sure, but as that dry rotted away and made a penetration point where all the water is going to run directly down, and it's going to penetrate the building, and it's going to get into the walls, and it's going to cause mold. So this, what you see here, is what came out of the aerosol cans. It was a gray spray, and you know, it kind of works. It's not actually very good seal. So actually I'm going to cover that again with this here brush-on formula, and it's actually a clear. Doesn't really matter, you know, gray works with the roof, but the clear does as well. Basically here you can see the consistency of it. You know, it's just kind of a goo. And then hopefully you can see this because I'm having a hard time seeing it myself. You know, just brush it on. I put it on pretty thick with a much larger brush, but you know, this acid brush works well. So, you know, I'll just re-hit all of these surfaces and make sure that they're fully sealed. Here's another one that didn't get it very well. More important in these valleys than up here where it's on the top of the ridges. You know, those don't seem to leak as often, and for the most part the roof is still pretty well sealed, but over time even these are going to leak a little bit. But you know, thus far the ones that I have done the Flex Seal on this past winter, they've held up just fine and no more leaks.